Welcome to Garage Jiu-Jitsu. These sessions are not meant to replace the teachings of black belts, but rather to share some of those aha moments we've encountered. Moments that often come when we're messing around on the mats in our garage with our buddies and comparing notes. We believe that 98% of results of any technique are delivered by those last 2% of details. After a combined 10 years of hard training, we're still discovering little details on how to better perform chokes and arm bars from guard. The learning never ends. We're on a journey just like you and want to share what we've got with more good stuff to come.
Okay, another series, Jiu-Jitsu Chess, offering up. My intention on this one is to get a double under pass on the guard. So I'm going to work my way towards that mentally. Tom's not just going to give it to me, so we'll start from here, even though he knows what I'm going to do. All right? Boom. Tom pulls guard immediately, and he breaks my posture. Again, job one, when I'm in a guy's guard, get my posture back, because when I'm down here, I'm in really bad shape. So the first thing I'm thinking is I want to move my hips closer to Tom, which allows my hips to get underneath my head. Look, so I do this. 1, 2. It gives me a little more leverage. You see how that happens? Don't try and cantilever up on a strong guy, or anybody for that matter. Don't cantilever up. Instead, look, move your hips in closer, and almost see up here. Monkey hand, monkey grip on the armpits.
Okay. So remember, in Jiu-Jitsu Chess, the whole point of this exercise is not what he does or what I do. There's a million variations. I could do something wrong, or, oh, gee, I wish I didn't, block this elbow. I wish I would attack this side, whatever. It's about the thought process, okay? And we need to be thinking more and cognizant of what we're doing and why on the mat instead of just reacting. So Joe responded appropriately to my attempt to break his posture. Okay, I still see that I have his elbow outside of this leg, which is an exposed elbow to me, okay, which leaves me with a couple of options. However, I still think I have an opportunity to keep him in my close guard game more by controlling his posture even a little bit more with my hips. Okay, this is a better position for me, opens up a series of 3 or 4 different submissions. So I'm going to go back. I like my close guard game. This is where I ended up.
At this point here, again, I've got to either lay here until Tom does something, or, because I can not make a move to make a move.
Exactly.
So sometimes doing nothing and selecting to do nothing is doing something. Keep that in mind in Jiu-Jitsu. Don't be forced to fill that space up. So what I am going to do is I'm going to pass my move and just say, okay, that's it, Tom, because there's no way I'm going to break this posture break. So he's
if I've got his head, I've got a deep lapel grip, okay, I've got my hips in, pressure from the knees, okay? So I'm going to look at trying to set up my next technique to open up more submissions. And that simply is grabbing this crease right here, right behind the neck. Too many people go over to the side and then they lose the choke, okay? I want to be right here, right? Controlling his head with my forearm, hip out to this side, reestablish my guard, bring the elbow across, and work on coming in for the choke.
Here I want to keep my neck, I'm going to keep my chin tucked, and I'm immediately going to bring the pressure on this choke down into me and crowd his choke. Tom can execute this choke when his arms are extended more effectively. So what I want to do is not allow him to bring his elbows in close to his body. So I'm going to put pressure down, I'm going to move into the choke and keep my chin tucked. That's my move.
Okay? So I have a choice here. Am I going to bail on this choke, or am I going to use it to set something up? So that's a beautiful thing I like about this choke, is it opens up a series of techniques. So I can continue to control his posture with my hips, which I will, get this arm out, push this elbow across. So now I'm working on taking his back.
As soon as Tom does this to me, I've got to get out of this position. What I have to do is not worry about my arm, it's my shoulder that Tom's trying to catch. So don't become fixated on getting your elbow out, you got to liberate that shoulder. So in order for me to liberate that shoulder, I'm going to come up on my left leg and try and peel myself out. Up and out. Because if my shoulder stays trapped here, Tom's next move brings me to the side. And I'm locking down this hip.
Right. Okay, so I know where we're going with this technique.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna kind of move in that direction. I'm looking, he's got a hand on the mat. Hand on the mat, Merry Christmas. It's usually a series of opportunities, whether I trap this, start to shoot over for a Kimura, or if I want to pop it out a little bit more and start to move my hips around for an omoplata, or whatever I want to do, I can look at this arm as an opportunity. I can also look at it as a backside armbar opportunity, okay, where I can bring this in, trap it, slowly start to move my hips around, keeping a lot of pressure on. So I'm going to start to trap this arm for a backside arm bar because it was big and fat for me.
This is fine, I'm okay here, don't freak here. Generally speaking, as long as your opponent doesn't have his opposite side foot on the hip, you're okay here. You're not in great shape, but you're not in a lot of risk.
Right.
Tom's foot is not on the hip. So here I have two options. One is I can bring it across if he doesn't have it too tight, or I can move into him. I'm going to choose to bring it across and down because we're trying to work on a double guard pass here.
Okay, so again, he's reestablished his posture. I don't have a good sweep opportunity, so I know that he's going to start pushing pressure on my legs. I need to get a hold of these grips right away so that if my guard does open, I can control his chaos of movement by controlling his wrists.
Tom's here. I'm looking for some space in my double unders now. I have a hairpin of space right here. This is my favorite part of this move. This takes a leap of faith, and you can't be afraid of sticking your face in places that you usually wouldn't, but we're doing jiu-jitsu. It's cool. All right, so right now, in my mind, when I do this pass, I immediately hide my hands down into the crotch area, and I drop my weight down. So I drop them, and I come here. And I'm using my shoulders now as a pry. I'm here, and I put my head right down here, and now I'm going to start wedging.
Okay, so at this point, you know, Joe's head is tight against my abdomen, so it really makes it difficult for me to get in here. If he has his head up at all, I can reach in, start to snag some chokes very easily. And he's got his arm pinned, so I can have, you know, pretty high success rate. But he's got his head tight into the side. I can't get in here. At this point, he doesn't have his wrist exposed. I can't get a wrist real easy. So at this point, I'm thinking about, okay, I got to bail. I'm going to break my guard, see if I can push off, create some distance.
As soon as Tom does that, I need to chase him. But I need to lock his hips down. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to go, again, double unders, and I'm going to stay on top of him. I'm coming in, and I'm going to lock down here. Let me pull you into the camera. I'm locking down here and locking his hips down.
Okay, at this point, I can either try to reestablish control of his grips. I can try for the old nutcracker, which is getting in on the sides of his neck, grinding the knuckles in on the carotid artery, bringing the feet over, squeezing, arching for submission. But right now he's very tight. I'm not going to have time to do that because in a full roll, again, we'd be moving quicker than this. So I'm going to try to go back to the wrists almost as a fail-safe because I know I'm in bad shape here. I can't get my foot around to the side yet, underneath, to try to do a shoulder submission. I can't really snake out too much. I will a little bit to give myself a little room with this grip.
Now at this point I need to drag Tom into me and I chase him at the same time. So what do? I move in and bring his hips up into my girdle. I need to get his hips off the ground. He's just lost a lot of his leverage and I keep myself locked here.
Okay, so this is bad. Okay, I'm getting stacked, a lot of pressure on my neck, and he's got control of my hips. Okay, so any evasive move that I'm going to try to make, if I tried to bail out to this side, if I was going to roll, is pretty much negated. Here at this point, I need him to make his next move before I can try in desperation to do a counter, because in my mind, I'm pretty much past at this point. I'm waiting for a transition to try to escape before he establishes side control.
At this point, I'm going to get my grip. Look, 1, 2. This keeps Tom close into me.
Yep, still got nothing here yet.
Next, thumb over, and at the same time, this hand comes under, and look, grabs his pants right up the crack. Because what I'm going to do here now is I'm going to pass and keep his hips high on the ground, high off the ground, and hold him here almost like a bread cutter choke, and bring myself down for the pass.
Exactly.
This hand here is so important because Tom cannot replace guard here. I see a lot of guys do this pass like this. They get here, they do this great, and then they do this. Yeah. No, when you get to this point, 1, 2, 3, 4, just hold it.
And keep it.
Rotate out, keep it.
Keep it, keep it.
And look, I lock down the hip. Okay? So that's the double underpass on chest. Important here, one of the tips I got earlier in my experience with BJJ was to always think of this kimono lapel as a rope. That's why they manufacture it that way. If you know, there's foam inside here. And that foam is inside there to protect the other jiu-jitsu guy's neck against it constantly pulling like a rope. So always think of this on your chokes and your hold downs as a rope. Boom, 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 okay? Important, it'll give you a good visual. So, when I go for my double unders and I reach, always use two hands. Don't just reach here and do the best you can. See where I am on that? Now watch. If instead I do this, I get a lot deeper, probably 20% deeper, which is the difference in everything in this movement. So when you're here and you got your double unders, look, this hand's here anyway. Pull, slide, lock.